So Pokemon Pokopia has been out for a while, and these Pokopia designs are peak. Let's talk about it. These Pokopia designs are really cool, guys. Let's start with Professor Tangrowth here. Affectionately known as Professor Tangrowth, this Pokemon is a vital guide to you and all the Pokemon you meet. So I was never really a Tangrowth fan. I've always loved Tangela more, but I do love this design. Now, it's not my favorite of the Pokopia designs, but I do appreciate its sort of personality and character that the design is portraying. So, Tangrowth is the professor here, and professors are typically older, and so you see that in the white coloration on top of Professor Tangrowth's head here. I love how that's there. I love the niche things like the stick, the glasses, the TM. I love how these things kind of give it a personality, a character trait, an identity. So I really love that for Professor Tangrowth. I also love the reference to Generation 1. Pokemon Pokopia takes place in the Kanto region, so in Pallet Town you find Tangela right outside. And so I love how, this is kind of, to me, like a callback to Gen 1. So looking more at its design, I do like the sort of red, dark blue coloration here. Also the red little, you can call this, maybe it's shoes or something. This is really cool. It being, stocky. I mean, Tangrowth is stocky, but Professor Tangrowth here looks a little more stockier to me. Yeah, I don't know if that's also a callback to like a professorial look. Being a little on the, on the bigger side. So Professor Tangrowth is really dope. I like, the TM on top of its tentacle here. I believe you can learn different moves from Tangrowth, and so that's why it has that TM there. And yeah, Professor Tangrowth, man, he's the professor, and he's really cool. Moving on to, excuse me, there's more screenshots here when you interact with Tangrowth. There's regular Tangrowth. Yeah, see, regular Tangrowth. It's stocky, but to Professor Tangrowth looks a little stockier. So that to me is an interesting depiction. To me, normal Tangrowth always seemed too bland. It's basically like Tangela but bigger, and it never really built on Tangela, so that's why I never was really a fan of normal Tangrowth. But I like, again, Professor Tangrowth. There's different layers to it, and there is a personality, a character trait, and there is depiction of something here that I appreciate. So moving on to the next Pokopia design, Pikachu, basically Ghost Pikachu. That's what when I first saw it, like that's what I thought. This thing is so adorable. This is probably my favorite my favorite Pokopia design. I just really love this thing, for some reason. It's just super adorable. Like, I love its in-game model. It's just, I don't know, let's think about it. It's Pikachu essentially, but like a pale Pikachu with a small tail. It's a female Pikachu based on the tail shape, and its ears being lowered. To me, that's just so adorable. Again, Pikachu here has a character trait. It's essentially lost its electricity power, and thus is in a state of, what do you call it? It basically lost its powers, to me, and it's kind of in a sad but joyful environment, if that makes sense. So to me, this design really speaks of being a little sorrow, but also happy at the same time. And you can just see it, in these images, how, Pikachu, it's happy, it looks happy. It's like happy to see you, it's happy to be your friend, it's happy to be on your journey. And so I really admire how this design is telling me that just by looking at it. You can tell it's Pikachu that's unusual, as this dialogue here is saying. It's unusually pale. So you question the image, like the aesthetic of it, what it looks like, but you don't question that that's very subtle, it's very friendly, it's very humble. It wants to be your friend, and I just love that about it. Like, that's what this design is speaking to me. Normal Pikachu is, we all know Pikachu, like, nothing needs to be said, but Pikachu here just sort of delivers that message of being friendly in a very subtle way without you questioning anything about it personally. So that to me is just very interesting and dope, and I really admire Pikachu, and I think this thing is so adorable. Like, I'm pretty sure this is the fan favorite, and rightfully so. So Pikachu is here. I believe, so these Pokopia designs, they have some have new typings, I believe. I think Professor Tangrowth and Pikachu are the same type, pure grass, pure electric. I was hoping Pikachu would be a ghost type. When I first saw it, I thought it was like a ghost Pikachu. So I was hoping it'd be a ghost type. That'd be super dope, but it's still electric type, which is cool. So yeah, Pikachu is here. Moving on, Mosslax, and this is probably my second favorite. This is super dope. Like, Mosslax. Moss has grown all over this Snorlax, and a flower sways atop its head. How long has it been asleep? So this is basically Snorlax. If you're a fan of Snorlax, I'm pretty sure you love this design. This is basically Snorlax built on as a grass Snorlax, essentially. So we all know Snorlax always sleeps, it always eats, and to me this design really cultivates a concept of Snorlax just being asleep for a long period of time, and then over time, like moss developing on its body. And I love that. I love how it has the flower on its head. To me, that just gives a level of a level of aesthetics. I just admire how this is basically Snorlax in a different light, and he just wants to chill. Like, you look at this picture here, this image, he's just, chilling, he's just, minding his own business, but at the same time, he doesn't look like he would be angry or upset if you were to, like, come to him and wake him up. He still has that friendly depiction, friendly vibe, like he wants to be your friend, he wants to be your partner. So I admire how this is a build on Snorlax, and how the concept of this Snorlax essentially was asleep for a long period of time, and then, moss sort of built on its body. So that to me is super dope. This thing is really cool. I love the little, this is like supposed to be moss, and so you have these little, like circles, to kind of illustrate the moss better. And yeah, like this right here is a darker shade of green compared to this right here. This is more of a lighter shade of green. So this is really cool. I love the slight different shadings here. Super cool. You can tell here there's more moss built up here on his body, whereas here it's a little less, and that's depicted by the shading. And on top of its head too, it's a slightly lesser shading as well, depicting that it's the lessest here. So that's really cool. So yeah, Moslax is dope. This is yeah, awesome. I love Snorlax. This is just Snorlax, just more Snorlax. Here's some more images here. Here's normal Snorlax. Yeah, the flower's super dope. Moving on, Smear Guru. This is peak, like super peak. Smear Guru. What a colorful chum. It looks like quite the prolific painter. So again, Smeargle, more Smeargle. Smeargle is an artist, it's a painter, and this is basically Smeargle if it was in the Renaissance. I just love, again, the personality is showing, the character is showing. You see Smeargle basically being himself, enjoying what he does, which is painting. You know, it has paint all around his body, you know, but it doesn't care because it loves to paint. You know, it's looking a little, you know, sassy here with its, you know, eyes closed, tongue sticking out, but you know, sassy in the sense that it just doesn't care, you know, if anyone sees him, it doesn't care, you know, who passes by, this and that. Like, he's just being himself. He's being confident in himself, and he's having a good time. And I just love that character is showing here. The different colors too is just, you know, it's a cool aesthetic element. It's also just, you know, again, you know, it kind of illustrates the different colors, illustrates, you know, Smeargle's vibrant personality and creative personality. And so to me, that's just a really cool design factor. You know, its hand on the back of its back here, again, you know, just again showing character. It's the small details. All these things just, you know, illustrate Smeargle's character. And I think this art does a much better job, you know, showing Smeargle's personality than its normal art. Like, this is fine, you know, you kind of still see a little bit of Smeargle's personality, but here it's just evident, you know, it's just way more evident in this form. And the little mustache here, again, you know, just a little niche thing to kind of tell that it's an artist, you know. And this is super dope. Like, I always felt like Smeargle was underrated. In competitive, you know, it's been pretty useful in competitive, but I've always felt Smeargle was underrated. But so I love how in Pokopia it has this form. It's just super dope. And yeah, this is just, yeah, awesome, man. A very forgotten Pokemon too. I feel like in Generation 2, people don't realize that Smeargle is a Gen 2 mon, you know, so it's been, you know, in Pokemon for a while. So it's cool to see that it's finally getting some love and recognition here. Some in-game model. I love this shot because, again, you know, you're seeing Smear Guru paint here, and the light turning on and it looking in that direction and being happy, to me, is just cool because it kind of shows that it's happy that it's being seen. The light illuminating and spotlighting on Smear Guru, it realizing that, hey, like, I'm in the light, I'm being seen. Someone might see me painting. It kind of just, it gives it a level of character and personality that is doing what it loves. And then, like, if people see him doing what he loves, like, he feels happy of that because he's showing off his passion. To me, this snapshot really kind of depicts that. So moving on, we have DJ Rotom. Hey, DJ, what's up? DJ Rotom is here. A new Rotom form. We've had like 100,000, so this is no surprise. But this thing is dope. I mean, like I like Rotom. Every Rotom form to me is pretty cool. But this one, is pretty unique because it's actually a new type. It's a new type. It's electric normal. Electric normal, and this description here says that this Rotom inhabits a mini stereo. If you give it some CDs, it will liven things up with a variety of music. So in the game, you can play different songs through DJ Rotom, and so to me, that's just dope. Really cool. Like, I love electric normal. You see the normal typing in the sort of like white gray outline here, and electric because it's Rotom. And I love the little sound bars in the center here that just gives it a level of, hey, this is a DJ. This is a DJ. And yeah, not much to, I mean, it's basically Rotom. It's just another form of Rotom. Rotom always has the same smile in all its forms, so that's cool. It maintains Rotom's identity, its personality. So Rotom's personality is evident in this form, which is really cool. This right here, this little symbol, oh, it's a musical note. I just not realized it. I was about to say, I wonder what the symbol is, but it's a musical note, which is really cool. It to symbolize music, it being a DJ again. So this is really cool. I love that design feature. I love the DJ set, the sound bars. This is really cool. Here's some images of it in game. I love this snapshot here. Playing music and all the Pokemon dancing. Like, this is super cool. It being at nighttime, which is typically when you think of the real world, when you go to DJ places, it's typically at night. And here's Rotom's normal form. So its eye color is different, which is interesting because here it's blue. Here it's green. So in the key art it's green, but here it's blue. I'm thinking like it turns green once it starts playing. I can't really see here, but it looks to me that here it might be green. So that's interesting too, like its eyes changing color depending on if it's playing or not, which could be like a, when you think of like electrical equipment, there's like a light that turns on and off when you plug it in. So that's a cool feature. Yeah, this thing is cool. It being electric normal is cool too, and to me that kind of confirms that we will be getting these Pokemon as like Pokemon that we can actually battle in future games, because I don't think Pokemon like DJ Rotom are gonna just be locked to Pokopia. I think in future games we'll be able to battle with them, so that'd be cool. That'd be really cool too, because I really want to use like all these Pokemon: Smearguru, Moslax, Pikachu, like, yeah. So moving on, we have Chef Dente. Chef Dente is here. This Greedent likes to store kitchen tools all over its body and treat everyone to its delicious dishes. Okay, so I'll be honest, I don't like Greedents. I don't care for it, but I appreciate this design because, again, you're seeing character, you're seeing personality. I just love when Pokemon art, any art essentially, when it demonstrates a character trait, it demonstrates a identity, it demonstrates a personality. And with Chef Dente, you definitely see all of that. It's a chef, it's happy. Normal Greedent is always happy, so this is just a build on that. It's very friendly. It has its little cooking tools. It's ready to cook some food for you. Make something for you. It's happy that you're here, that you're talking to, that you're interacting with this. So all that is being depicted here in this art, which I really admire. And I like the scarf. The scarf to me is just an added element to just kind of make Greedent unique. So The colors are still, bland, which is my issue with normal Greedent. It's just, brown, gray, the colors are boring, but the added layer of chef is cool, and it gives it an identity and personality, and I really, again, admire that. These images here, Pokemon eating with Greedent. It's just happy. You can just see right here. It's just happy that it has company and that Pokemon are eating its food. Here too, it's just happy that you're here and you're interacting with it, helping it cook. You have the chef's hats. You're helping Greedent cook. That's dope. Here's normal Greedent. So that's really cool. The hat hides its ears, which I think is interesting. Yeah, I love how it stores the tools behind its tail. Its tail is huge, and so like it just makes sense that it can store things, like hide things like in it. That's really cool. Yeah, so Greedent's here. Chef Densei, I should say, is here. And that's it. Now there was one more Pokopia form that came out recently. It's a new Tinkaton form known as Tink Master. Now let's go to Cerebi here. This is kind of its in-game model. So Tink Master is here. I like Tinkaton. It's one of my favorite Paldeamons. So Tink Master is basically a build on Tinkaton. Not much changes. The main thing that changes is its hammer. Normal Tinkaton has a giant hammer, and so this Tink Master basically has like a hammer and a different like tools. I love its hair slightly changes. You see here, it's kind of like it has like a little like braiding. It still maintains the pink and white coloration, which I think is which I love. I love that on normal Tinkaton. This is really cool. Let me see if I can find like an actual official art, because Pokemon did release official art recently of Tink Master. Let me go to images here. This is it in game. It's a really cool snapshot. Tinkaton's personality is similar to all the Pokemon we discussed so far. It's very friendly. It's very happy to see you, happy to be your friend. So Tink Master does a great job of just carrying that over. This is normal Tinkaton. See how it's just happy. There was here it is. Let's open this up. Bulbapedia. Can we increase this? Make this bigger. Image in new tab. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, I guess we can. Let me just zoom in. We zoom in. I guess not. Okay, so we'll just look at this image here. This is the key art. Again, you're seeing Tinkaton, essentially Tinkaton, but a slight variation. The tools here, the hammer. Again, you see the little braid it has on top of its head. Just gives it a little different personality. Yeah, I really like this. This is super dope. Tink Master in the game is essentially like your tool master. Your your Bob the Builder. Anything you need help with building wise, Tink Master's there to help you. So this is really cool. I love, again, the personality is showing, the character is showing, the identity, and Tinkaton just being itself, being friendly, being joyful, being helpful. All that's being communicated through this art right here. So I really like that. It's really cool. So that's basically all the new Pokopia designs that we have so far. There are rumors that future DLC is on the horizon. So with that, I do expect more Pokopia Pokemon to be revealed, and I can expect, that there to be a lot more in DLC. So I wanted to talk about that, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.